Hello everyone and welcome to the 2022-2023 Open House Information virtual session here. Today we are going to be talking about the West Vancouver Schools Premier Field Hockey Academy. But before we begin the presentation, I would just like to acknowledge and thank the Squamish Nation upon whose traditional territory West Vancouver Schools reside. We would like to express our gratitude to this nation as we value the opportunity to learn and share educational experiences on this territory. To begin with, the reason that these sports academies have motivating factors for people to register is that students receive courses or credits for the purposes of graduation. In order to do that, what we do is we have teachers involved as well as community partners. And so the teacher who is supervising the Field Hockey Academy is Mr. Klaus Heck. And he is a tremendous athlete. At one time he was a high-level athlete in a multitude of sports. He has been not only a teacher but a vice principal of summer school. He's been involved in all kinds of sports at a high level, not only competing but also coaching and also being a part of the executive. He is a valuable asset because he works with all the students, looking at all the kids as they participate in the program, and his role is being able to work with the community partners in order to provide the students with their marks, but also to keep track of how they're feeling and doing, their attendance, and should they have any concerns around the balancing of school and the sport. Mr. Heck is our teacher who just really enjoys being a part of these programs and really gets to know the kids.
All right, thanks Diane. Good to be back. I think this will be my 6th year with the Academy. So really excited to get, when I see 2022, 2023, I realize how quickly time's flying by. Just to introduce myself, my name is Jeff Matthews. I'm from Cape Town originally, and since I've been in Vancouver for the last 9 years, I'm now Technical Director at West Vancouver. I coach the U21 men's national team, also the U18's NCCP competition development trained, and then I was really fortunate enough a couple of years ago to go to Malaysia where I did my FIH Level 3 certificate. Accompanying me with the Academy, we have 2 really well-respected female coaches in the field hockey community. Isabel is a really familiar face for those of you in and around the North Shore. She's from Holland originally. Isabel's been here for the last 2-3 years. She's now a permanent resident in Canada. And along with myself and Carly, who's one of our other coaches, she works in our club high performance program. She coaches the women's league team, and then she's also really involved with the Field Hockey BC provincial and regional programs. When Isabel's not around, we're lucky enough to have Carly Johansson. Carly, as you can see, has played 148, actually just reached 151 first game in the recent tournament now in Chile. She's been a member of multiple Canadian national teams from the juniors all the way through to the senior national team. She's a drag flick specialist, has played in Europe professionally. And with her and Carly, they bring 2 very unique and very different perspectives for field hockey. And I think from a girls program, which this Academy is, essentially you've got 2 very good role models that can show you not just what high performance looks like, but also the ability to travel around the world and see new places and meet different people. Alright, so just in terms of the general concept, so the West Vancouver Premier Field Hockey Academy is eligible for students of Rockridge, Sentinel and West Vancouver secondary schools, so the 3 high schools in the province. We're open for all genders, male and female, and from grades 8 to grade 12. The curriculum or the goal of the program is obviously to provide a positive environment. This includes, giving kids the opportunity to learn sports and to learn lifelong skills, but also to make new friendships with kids from multiple schools, as they wouldn't often see kids from Rockridge or Sentinel if they were West Vancouver school kids. We want to motivate them throughout the year in terms of goal setting, giving them certain objectives to reach. Some of the athletes have aspirations to make provincial teams. Some of the athletes have aspirations just to make their club high performance programs and their club women's league teams. So we tailor the program to make sure we meet the goals for each individual athlete. We also look for the older athletes. We look at offering NCCP courses. This is specific for grade 10 to 12s. And then as we move through, there is also an opportunity for a pathway into higher education where, especially down in the States, field hockey is a unique opportunity to get scholarships. And obviously in Vancouver, we have UBC and Victoria University that are very influential in the Canadian field hockey landscape too. The components of the program essentially broken down into 4 parts. So technical, tactical is obviously things we do on the field. That comes down to a lot of the training that we do. There's a bunch of physiology which we include. Most of the physiology we do includes educating our athletes into dynamic warm-ups. It includes cooling down processes. But also in the winter block when it gets really cold, we do go indoors. We do a bunch of testing, we do a bunch of strength and conditioning, we also do a bunch of yoga. So that kind of gives the athletes a really well-rounded program in terms of what they would be doing if they were doing this as a full-time kind of job per se. The education piece comes into the umpiring mentorship, the coaching mentorship, and then also when we do have days where we are affected by the weather, we do go inside and we do try and improve our hockey IQ. Where I try and bring some of the international trends, and with the use of Carly as well, we try and bring some of the trends that are happening internationally and kind of show the kids what that works and how that kind of impacts them on a day-to-day basis. And then the last part here is obviously myself being a technical director at West Vancouver Field Hockey. We really want to create a link between the schools, the club, and then the provincial pathway. And then once you make it into the provincial pathway, obviously, Field Hockey Canada is not a big step from that. So yeah, just to recompose, so just in terms of physiology, so we do fitness testing. Okay, the fitness testing is not there as a pass or fail test. It's a case of allowing athletes to experience what testing involves. It's a case of allowing them to go through the process, so when they do go to provincial tryout or if they go to university, it's not something that they haven't seen before. All of our fitness testing is based on the Field Hockey Canada model, and that kind of evolves each year as coaches come in and change. We spoke about the strength and conditioning, and then obviously we've got this field hockey specific agility, running, and running patterns. All right, from a technical, tactical point of view, and then from the pathways, you can see here you've got essentially your 3 main stakeholders in terms of field hockey. So club and school hockey. The academy starts in September, which is also the same time as the high school season. So myself and the coaches, we sit down and we really carefully think about player workload in terms of managing a high school season, but also allowing the athletes to keep developing and keep improving. From the academy training, this supplements our club training programs. So the aim is not just to do the academy, but also to be involved in a club program too, which will give you a bit more of a game component. From these club and academy, you can go into a provincial tryout where our academy coaches will nominate the athletes. There's a thorough technical and tactical assessment that gets done. And then once you make a provincial team, you obviously go on then to represent Field Hockey BC at nationals, which normally take place in Vancouver or possibly Toronto or Calgary. And then at nationals, this is a selection point for Field Hockey Canada's national teams. Starting next year, Field Hockey Canada is actually introducing U16 and U18 national teams, which is something that's really new and unique. And in the past, it was always just a U21 team that was represented. We've spoken about the on-field stuff. So a lot of this decision-making skills we learn are through gameplay. There's obviously the normal skills practice. We bring in specialist elements of training with the strength and conditioning, and then tactical awareness is something that we work on every single day. And then as mentioned, obviously the carrot of playing in an academy is always the opportunity to represent your province. For those of you that are new to the provincial pathway, there's essentially 2 Field Hockey BC age groups. Train to Train, which is U16 program that are ages 13 to 15. Train to Compete are programs for the U18, so 16 to 18 years of age. Athletes that are nominated by a club or an academy coach would be invited to a 3-step tryout process. From the tryouts, you then make a provincial team. This process happens in March and April. So when we start the academy in September, it's really important to start building those blocks. And then in the winter months, we look at building the physiology so that come March and April, our athletes are really prepared and they've had 6 months of training under the belt, which a lot of my club members wouldn't have that luxury. I say for juniors, most of the junior season is based in the spring. So, we would start our season in April for juniors, yet academy players have now had 6 months of training ahead of that. And this obviously allows us to connect the 3 stakeholders which you mentioned earlier. All right, in terms of the curriculum, so a lot of this is repetition, so I do apologize a little bit, but it's really important that you understand what the program is about. Like I said, technical, tactical is always the most important. That's the easiest thing on the eye. It's the thing that you're going to see and experience the most on the field. So we spend a lot of time doing that. This is done in alignment with our Field Hockey BC and Field Hockey Canada pathways. So as a national coach, I have a lot of discussions with the PSOs, so Field Hockey BC, and we kind of know what they're looking at. Also from a nomination process, we are aware of what technical skills they're looking for too. So we do a lot of work on that, and then when it comes down to the assessments, we have a pretty good understanding. Sports science testing and monitoring, that's part of the testing which we introduce to the athletes. Again, this helps them because when you do go to provincial team, there are fitness requirements. We talk about holistic athletes, so goal setting, mental prep, how do you deal with adversity? Just being out in the cold and in the rain, sometimes that's a big challenge for us itself. It's something that we have to learn to deal with as a field hockey player in Vancouver. We spoke about the 2 education pieces, and then lastly we do add a social team building element too. These include parties, include some off-field events and things that we do as well during the season, just to kind of break up so it's not too monotonous.
So with respect to the schedule, right now with us being in this pandemic, West Vancouver Schools is currently in a semester system, so 2 semesters during the course of the school year. However, the sports academies, and in this case the Field Hockey Academy, runs linearly, so that's all year long, September through June. And within this semester system, we have been able to develop in West Vancouver 2 periods in the afternoon twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday from 1:30 to 3. We call them X blocks, and that gives students across the district at the secondary level the opportunity to do all kinds of different activities, and at the same time we are able to run these sports academies. And so the Field Hockey Academy runs Tuesdays and Thursdays all year long from 1:30 to 3. And this schedule here is just an example of how the semester system works, with all the kids doing their regular coursework Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and also Tuesday morning and Thursday morning. But here in yellow in the afternoon are those X blocks I was mentioning, and that's where the Field Hockey Academy training sessions fall.
All right. So yeah, just in terms of the actual program itself, from an outdoor program. Like I mentioned, we're an outdoor sport, but during the winter months it does become really cold and icy on the field, and if we have anything like we had last month with all the snowfall, we definitely don't want to be outside playing field hockey. So the way we work is September to November, roughly about November the 20th, we spend the time outdoors twice a week. So those sessions are designed to complement the high school season. So a lot of small touches, a lot of decision-making drills, things that are going to help our high school teams keep progressing. So when they get to playoffs in November, they're really prepared. From November to February, we'll go indoors, which we'll see on the next slide. And then from February to June, we head back outdoors again. And the reason we do that, as I mentioned before, is the aim of this program is to give athletes that want to take that opportunity up the chance to make provincial BC teams. So we go out in February, it gives us a month to 2 months before those provincial tryouts take place. Obviously there's a fine line between the balance of the weather, So we do always have in our back pocket, we do have the opportunity to go indoors, do indoor field hockey and do some yoga stuff, which we're doing this year. All outdoor sessions take place at Rutledge. You'll see that's a really nice field down in Ambleside Park. It was the host of the 2019 Olympic qualifying event, and it's one of the top quality fields in the world in terms of the actual carpet itself, the AstroTurf. Once we go indoors, so indoors, as I mentioned, will take place from December to January. This is always based on the health and safety protocols that are in place. Obviously, COVID in the last, feels like 10 years now, but the last 2 years has really changed how we can do this. So, closer to the time, this will kind of be ironed itself out, but we have used level 10 in the past. At the moment, we're doing yoga at the West Van Martial Arts Centre. We're doing indoor field hockey at the gym in West Vancouver Secondary School. And as I say, the aim here is to do ideally one indoor session, one strength and conditioning, or one yoga session per week, but it really depends on what we're allowed to do at the time.
So with respect to the bus transportation, students who are registered in any one of our schools, that's Rockridge, Sentinel, or West Vancouver Secondary, will be provided with bus transportation right after the lunch hour in order to pick them up and take them to Rutledge Field, located down at Ambleside, as was mentioned, each of those training sessions from 1:30 to 3. This is a one-way bus transportation opportunity, and then parents are responsible for pickup at the end of the training sessions at any one of the locations, whether that's indoors or outside. With respect to the Field Hockey Academy training sessions, the students are actually registered in a course. So this is a really encouraging piece of our program and attractive for students because they're actually in school while they're training in the afternoons. So with respect to the Field Hockey Academy, if students participate the full year, so September through June, throughout that entire time period, they receive courses or credits for participation, and these are of course used towards their graduation purposes. With respect to grades 8, 9, and 10, physical and health education is mandatory, and our students who participate in the Field Hockey Academy will receive those courses, so physical and health education 8, 9, or 10, depending on the grade level. As well, most recently the ministry has also come out with some ministry authorized courses for students at grades 11 and 12 who, when they participate in the Field Hockey Academy, will receive Fitness and Conditioning 11 or Ministry Authorized Fitness and Conditioning 12.
All right, so in terms of assessment, obviously this is an ongoing assessment each session. As Ms. Nelson mentioned, the report cards are issued 3 times a year. For me, really important as a coach for athletes to recognize that when we do an assessment like this, it's not purely a technical, tactical assessment. We recognize that players have varying abilities, and the important thing for me as a coach is the attitude, the commitment, and the attendance. Those are the 3 biggest ones. If you have those 3 things and you're performing from a technical, tactical aspect, we're looking at a really good grade for the students. For the athletes that are kind of more new to field hockey, because we've got varying backgrounds coming into grade 8. Just the attitude, commitment, and attendance part, those play a huge big part of us, because we know that if you do those things correctly, you probably have the right mentality in terms of improving the technical aspects. So really patient in terms of what we do here. Parent-teacher interviews, there's one formal interview offered to parents. We have an open door policy, so a lot of the parents will know me from seeing me down in the field. For those of you that don't know me, there's always an open door policy. You can either contact me through the West Van School office, or you can contact us through the teacher, Mr. Heck. When it comes to clothing, so clothing requirements, we do have clothing requirements for the program. As I say, look good, feel good, play good is a really important motto. What we don't want is athletes coming in different uniform and different clothes, because it really makes the athletes separate from the group, and we want to have a bit of a unison here. So even though we don't have a team component, we essentially are one academy. So the basic requirements are 1 long sleeve dry shirt, 1 short sleeve dry fit shirt, 1 pair of shorts, 2 pairs of socks, and then a rain jacket is really important. As I say, there's certain things you can control, which is what you wear. There's certain things you can't control, which is the weather. And with Rutledge being new in a world-class field, if it's pouring with rain, the session's still going to go ahead. So really important that athletes come prepared in their training uniform so they're comfortable and they can learn appropriately.
With respect to the sports academies, such as the Field Hockey Academy, there are fees associated with them. And in the case of the Field Hockey Academy, the fee is $348 per month multiplied by 10 months. The program runs September through June. And this encompasses all of the elements and components that you've just been hearing about. So with respect to the selection process and the criteria, we really encourage everyone to take part that has an interest in this. If they've been playing field hockey, or even if they've tried it at their schools locally and would like to learn more about this sport and get involved and engaged, we just encourage all students to apply. The first step would be to go online and to complete the student information form on the website. Along with that process, there is a mandatory request to upload the student's most recent report card. And that just gives us as a collective staff the opportunity to have a look at the student and how we can meet the needs. So, as was mentioned, the ability to, do well at school, to get along with others, to attend well at school. So that would probably flow into the Field Hockey Academy requirements as well, so that it's a good fit for both the coaching staff and the student. So if you are interested, we again encourage you to go online and to register on the website. And once we receive your registration, we will contact you from the Academy office. And once that occurs, there will be required paperwork to complete, and we will ensure that we've got all of that in place as soon as possible, because the step after that is to ensure that the student's timetable schedule is in place with all of the courses that the student has selected, so that we're ready for September 2022. So thank you so much for listening to the information about the West Vancouver Schools Premier Field Hockey Academy. We hope that we have piqued your interest, and we look forward to receiving your registrations online. Thank you.